Hey all, Fjorim here. Update 6 has been released on experimental, and with it we get a bunch of new things to research in MAM. In this video I'll go through all the MAM changes in this update. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. I'm trying to release a new video every week, although I can't promise that probably during the summer. The first thing I noticed when opening up MAM in update 6 is that the completed trees are marked. As a completionist I like this change a lot. It would seem that I already have Nutrients, Power Slugs and the Fixma 7 completed. The other trees have gone through quite extensive changes though. If we start with the Alien Organisms tree, it seems that each monster type now drops unique loot. The existing alien carapaces are turned to Hawk remains and alien organs to Plasma Spitter remains, so these two research nodes are already completed. Hatchers drop Hatcher remains and Stingers Stinger remains, and these two nodes need to be researched in the new MAM. So let's go looking for enemies. After spending some 30 minutes or so going through the new swamp and the red forest, I realized that at least my save is completely empty of enemies. I've never seen this area so peaceful before. I could find some of the new crab hatchers, but even those don't spawn any flying crabs. At least I can do the research for the hatcher remains. I can't remember ever being annoyed with there being no spiders in this game before though. So I guess it's time to check some other research trees then. The Caterium trees has stun rebars now. They seem to require quick wire and iron rebars. So that's an easy one, I'll just craft a few iron rebars and research it. The remaining new nodes in this tree is the bullet guidance system for homing rifle ammo. Rifle ammo recipe seems to have been changed though. It now requires smokeless powder, which is in Soulful Tree. It seems to require black powder, so let's go and get some. And so we are done researching smokeless powder. Producing this is a bit of a pain apparently, as it requires heavy oil residue and thus can't be crafted manually. So time to build some machines. So here's an ad hoc setup I built near my current steel factory. Smokeless powder requires black powder, which in turn require coal and sulfur. In addition, we need crude oil for the heavy oil residue, and this is a nice spot with all three nearby. I just needed to divert some spare coal from my steel factory for this temporary setup. And now we are getting some smokeless powder in a container. So let's see what we can research with that. Explosive rebars seem to require it, and also some iron rebars and steel beams. So that's an easy one now. Smokeless powder unlocks a bunch of other nodes too. I might as well get a cluster nobelisk done, as it only requires some normal nobelisks and smokeless powder. By the way, did you know that you can auto-craft items by just clicking spacebar once when the crafting screen is up? At least I didn't know that before Snut mentioned it during the release stream. I'm now using that tip here when manually crafting some nobelisks. And with the nobelisk crafted, we can research the cluster nobelisk. There are still a few nodes left in the Soulful Tree: nuclear deterrent development, turbo rifle ammo, and the experimental power generation. The materials for the latter seem easiest, so let's do that one first. And here we go, 2 more nodes unlocked in the Soulful Tree. They seem to provide compacted coal and turbo fuel, which I already have unlocked using hard drives. I find it very strange that in order to complete this tree I will need to spend 2 more hard drives, even though these nodes give me nothing. I hope Coffee Stain fixes this before this update comes to early access. But let's do this for science now. I'm spending a hard drive to unlock compacted coal. The node for turbo fuel requires some compacted coal, so let's extend our ad hoc setup to produce some of that. Luckily the materials for compacted coal and black powder are exactly the same, coal and sulfur. So now we can research also turbo fuel. In order to get the turbo rifle ammo we need some packaged turbo fuel. So time to extend our ad hoc setup further. We'll first need to produce turbo fuel from heavy oil residue and compacted coal. We'll also need to make some plastic for canisters. The plastic production produces some spare heavy oil residue. As I haven't really calculated how much this setup uses and produces, I'll just convert that to fuel with the standard recipe and burn it so that it doesn't back up the setup. In the end we'll produce some packaged turbo fuel and can finally research the turbo rifle ammo. And then we have only 1 node left to research in the Soulful Tree. The nuclear deterrent development, which gives us the Nuke nobelisk. I was hoping this would require nuclear waste, as that would provide a new way to get rid of it. But sadly it seems to require encased uranium cells instead. I'm just borrowing some from my nuclear plant and researching it. I'll need to figure out how I'm going to produce these for my mega factory, as my max nuclear plant will need all the uranium on the map. I might do it so that I'll produce these at the nuclear plant and run it suboptimally until the Nuke Nobilis container is full. Oh, and I almost forgot why I made the ad hoc smokeless powder setup in the first place. It was the Researchshoming Rifle. So let's do that now. That completes the Caterium research tree. Only mycelia and quartz left, and of course the alien organisms that I can't complete due to missing enemies. The toxic cellular modification awards gas nobelisks and seems to require some nobelisks, mycelia and biomass. Looking at the craft bench, it would seem that it's no longer possible to get biomass directly from the alien remains. So I went out and gathered some trees, and I'm now crafting biomass from wood. And so we can research the gas nobelisks. This is probably going to be impossible to produce at the mega factory, as biomass production can't be automated, but we'll see. And next I'm looking at the Therapeutic Inhaler. I'll just get some mycelia from the lizard doggo farm and research it. The inhaler recipes seem to have changed quite a lot. The nutritional inhaler now requires only 2 pale berries and 5 beryl nuts compared to 3 and 7 before. Beryl nuts seem to be more important for inhalers than before, as you can no longer graft them from alien organs and mycelia alone. There's however a new option that uses mycelia, alien protein and bacon agaric, which doesn't require any berries. It seems that the rest of the mycelia tree nodes require fabric. Note that parachute isn't really new in MAM, I just haven't researched it before because I didn't really need it in this save. Anyway, time to get some fabric for my factory that I mentioned in my mycelia video earlier. And now we can research the expanded tool belt. However, it would seem that this doesn't really award a new hand slot. Or is it because I have previously used empty hand mods which gave me an extra hand slot? I'm anyway still at 7 hand slots as before. I might as well research the parachute now as well, that I have the materials. And now we have just a synthetic polyester fabric left in the mycelia tree. This gives the same recipe that I already have as an alternate one, but I'll want to research it just to complete the tree. I'll need some polymer resin first, which I can find in my oil factory, and then we are ready to finish this tree. The quartz tree also has some new nodes. I'm starting with the Satisfactory bar, which requires some quartz crystals. Then we have the pulse nobelisks, for which I'll need to get some crystal oscillators. I'll also need to craft some nobelisks, and then we are ready to research it. I'll research the radar tower now as well, even though it's not really new. I just haven't had any reason to build one before this update. And that completes the quartz tree. I was saving the alien organisms tree last, as I was hoping that the bug that prevents the stingers from being spawned would be fixed. Turns out it still hasn't been, so I'll just do what I can and research the bioorganic properties. I'll just need some alien protein and biomass first, and then we are ready to research it. It turns out that this research also enables turning alien protein to biomass, so it is actually still possible to get decent amounts of it from just killing monsters, similarly as before. And for completeness, I'll also research the structural analysis, even though I have already unlocked the rebar gun that it leads to. After that we are just left with the stinger research, which I'll have to wait with until Coffee Stain fixes the bug that prevents them from spawning. So there you go, that was the full list of MAM changes in update 6. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.